What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Good morning, and welcome on into the Brass Ring Media Podcast. Good morning. Happy Friday. Happy Valentine's Day, too. It is February 14th, Friday, February 14th. I'm Zach Haydorn, your host of the show. It is a pleasure to be here this morning. We're a little bit earlier here on Friday than we normally are, but it is Valentine's Day. So I figure this afternoon, at least if people are like me, you're going to be out and about, kids stuff. Maybe you got a fancy date night tonight. So my thought was, hey, let's just get the show out there for people to enjoy as they go throughout their day, as they start their mornings. And that's why we are here with the Brass Ring Media Podcast, earlier, much earlier than normal. Thanks so much to everybody who's watching live right now on YouTube. Thank you if you're watching live on Twitter X. I appreciate you. Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. We do this show 2 times a week. We do it once on Tuesday nights, and that is usually more of our WWE focused show. And then our late week show, which is either Thursday or Friday, is our AEW focused show. And it's a good time to have this AEW focused show because tomorrow we've got AEW Grand Slam coming to us from Australia in what is a pretty, I'd say a pretty big night for AEW. I think the card, well, we'll get into that. But that's going to be the name of the game today. I want to talk Dynamite. I want to talk AEW Grand Slam. I want to get all your thoughts and your questions and your comments about that and hear from you. So with that said, we got the live chat open right now. You can get in there, get in the conversation, help drive our conversation by choosing a topic or asking a question. You can do that in the live chat. If you want to make sure that I see it and make sure that it gets read, leave a super chat. Super chats are kind of the lifeblood of what we do here at Brass Ring Media. And we'd appreciate it. Any contribution amount can help. And we thank you in advance. We got Sean in there already. Good morning, Sean. Happy Friday, dude. Happy Valentine's Day. Sean says, what is going on, Zach? Happy Friday, everybody. Good to have you, Sean. Always a blast. Sean is one of our Brass Ring Media Gold members. So you'll be hearing a lot from him throughout the show today. Sean joined the show a couple weeks ago to preview the Royal Rumble. We do that at least once a month with our Gold members. They come on and join and hang out and help us host the show. So that was an absolute blast. I brought up Brass Ring Media membership a couple times now. If you're interested, head over to Patreon and check out what we do. We are producing lots of content throughout the week. Right here on YouTube, we have our own Brass Ring Media YouTube channel. All of our live shows here on Brass Ring Media run on a corresponding podcast feed. So you can get all of these shows right to your phones. Just go search Brass Ring Media in your favorite podcast app, and you can subscribe for free and get all of these shows. It includes both Brass Ring Media podcasts, but also podcasts and shows from our other team members, Nocturnal Knockout with Robert, and then the Kick-Ash podcast with Ashley on Saturday mornings. So that's the Saturday morning show. I'm kind of stealing Ashley's gimmick here with the morning show, but I can't do it better than she can. She runs a great show right here on Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Eastern. You're not going to want to miss it. You want to check it out. Make sure that you do tomorrow morning. So once again, that's patreon.com/Brass Ring Media if you're interested in membership. It's only $4 a month to join us here and become a Brass Ring Media member. So give us a shot. Give us a shot. You're not going to want to miss it. You're going to want to miss out on what we've got coming up this WrestleMania season and beyond. Once again, it's patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. We got Ashley in the live chat. Learn from the best. Ha! Oh my goodness. Well, thank you. We appreciate that. But man, it's hard to compete. It's hard to compete with the old Kick-Ass podcast. Tracy's in the live chat. It says Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, Tracy. Thanks so much for being here. And once again, Sean, our our Brasserie Media Gold member. Sean, we'll start the show off with Sean's point here via a chat. And this, I think, Sean, I think you've solved the riddle of AEW right now with what you just said. Sean says here in the live chat, and this will get our conversation going. He says, Dynamite was still just a decent show. It's getting better, but it still has issues. I'm excited about where Hangman and MJF can go. MJF needs this. So, absolutely. I think that overall, Dynamite has been a better show for the last month, I'd say. Better than it was 2-3 months ago, especially, right around the holiday time. Coming out of the Continental Classic, really, I thought it just kind of sputtered along. I didn't think it had much. But the last few weeks, I think have been better. The main reason I think this is I think what you've seen and what you're seeing is you're seeing like the top guys in the company and the top women in the company, like, get something that they can sink their teeth into. Like, I just think that it's important to have good, strong material for your top guys. And there's varying degrees of that going on right now. MJF has finally circled out of whatever it was he was doing with Jeff Jarrett. They dropped that. They didn't have a match, right? He had the match with with Dustin Rhodes this past week. That was fine. This was what it was. And now they're on the way to something with Hangman Page and MJF. And that's compelling. Like, that is compelling. That's worthy. That is worthy of television time. That is worthy of your top guys. And look, MJF not too long ago was the top guy in the company. And he left for a little while, came back, and was not the same. He wasn't the same from like a performance perspective, and he wasn't the same from an opponent perspective either. I mean, look, say what you will about Adam Cole, but Adam Cole is just not on MJF's level right now. Not anywhere close to it. Certainly Roderick Strong isn't. And that's what he came back to. I know he did a little thing with Will Ospreay at the end of last year for All In, and that was good. But after that, it was Daniel Garcia. It was, Adam Cole. It was Roderick Strong. It was Jeff Jarrett. That's not a good run of opponents for like what is supposed to be your one of your top guys, if not the top guy that you have. They've righted that here with the Hangman Page stuff. One thing with this feud is that they haven't really touched 5 years of the company, and 5 years of the company, and they barely had any interactions with one another. So it feels like two AEW stalwarts, like just ready to go at it for the first time. I feel like it has some stakes behind it. I feel like it has some real, like, there's a core issue there, in terms of just wanting to be the best. And also there's an underlying level of stakes, which is, hey, whoever wins this is gonna be like in line for a title shot. It's not a number one contender match, but let me put it this way. It's not a number one contender match definitively by name, but it is kind of, when you think about how they're talking. The winner of this is going to position themselves nicely for a title shot, which is what both, which is what most guys want. We are live, Takara World. That's what I mean. It says live at the top, and yes, I'm talking. It's a talk show. I am the host of said talk show. So if you don't want to listen, I guess don't. I hope you stick around though. We are going to talk about the women's division, so don't worry about that. Stick around, and we'll talk about it on the talk show that I'm talking about. Oh, internet. What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about MJF versus Hangman Page as like kind of this secondary feud, I guess, in AEW right now? I think it's a key reason why the last few episodes of Dynamite have felt fresh. We got Ashley in the chat. Says Hangman feels like the answer to dethroning Mox. He was my early pick. I've grown to enjoy Darby more than I ever thought I would, but he just isn't the guy for me. I am right there with you. I'm right there with you. I agree, Ashley. I mean, Darby, unless he comes back from this Mount Everest thing and he's just like wildly over, like if it's like kind of out of a left field thing, like Jey Uso or something to that effect, then I think you can consider going with him there. If he's not that, though, I would look at Hangman. I would look in his direction. The thing is, I think I would look in a lot of directions. I would look in like all sorts of areas, and I would try to find out who is the most over babyface. Or actually, you know what the question I would ask myself is about all these guys: Hangman Page, Darby Allin, Jay White, Cope, anybody. I would have like a level in mind where we need a babyface to get to this level. And if they get to that level, then we'll consider, doing a title switch. But I would not be just openly predicting ahead of time, like, hey, it's Hangman, or hey, it's Darby, or hey, it's Jay White, or hey, it's Swerve. Like, I just would not. I wouldn't do that. I don't know that I would saddle myself with that. I would wait and see, and wait and see who's most over. I do think that. All right, Takara, we're gonna have to do something about you. You're in timeout. Sorry. Thanks for joining, but you are in timeout now. There's no need to spam. There's no need to ever really spam a live YouTube show. But dude, it's not even 9 a.m. yet. Look. The coffee is still very, very full, which means it's not the caffeine has not soaked in to the pores yet. We can't have madness in a in a live chat. We just can't do it. All right. Now that the distractions are gone, let's back to my point. My point is, if I was Tony Khan, I would just look at the lay of the land and go, do we have somebody over enough to take out Jon Moxley? Because that's what you're looking for. Or the question is, if we put him over Jon Moxley, can we get him to a new level? That's the question. I think Hangman is an early, hot pick to be that guy, which is crazy, by the way. And this gets right into my next point. Well, actually, you know what? Before I get into that point, I want to hit the chat here for a little while, and see what everybody's saying about this. I know Andrew's got a chat here. Yeah, Andrew, who is another Brass Ring Media Gold member. Andrew, thank you. Andrew says here, they touched at the very beginning of the Battle Royal at Double or Nothing. I do remember that now, yes. Now, I mean, to be fair, you are right. They totally touched. They've never touched like in the current roles that they occupy now, which is MJF as one of the biggest stars in the company and Hangman Page as like this, kind of twisted, crazy heel, but he's a babyface kind of guy. Like, yeah, yeah. So, but you're right. They did, and you're good to. You're definitely good to call that out. Let's see. I just said Ashley's note. Maybe you should sit there and look pretty, Zach. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what some other folks watching live streams this morning want from their talk show hosts is just no talking. I don't know. All right, Andrew says here, I like the segment. They didn't need to double down on the brawl, but it's nice to see them both being used. Way too talented to remain in the bullpen. Yes, goodness. Thank you, Andrew. Exactly. Like, that's the key, right? Is that you just use your guys. We're going to talk about Ricky Starks on the member-only show. I'm going to record that in a little bit here, and it's going to drop for members, and everybody who's interested in getting that can sign up for Brass Ring Media membership. It's only $4 a month. That's it. $4, patreon.com/Brass Ring Media. We're going to talk about Ricky Starks, right? And a big part of what I'm going to discuss is, he was just too talented of a guy to just let go without giving anything to, right? I mean, like, you gotta push them. You got to use your top guys. Same thing here. You got to put your top guys in positions where they can be top guys for you and deliver. MJF can't do that with Jeff Jarrett. MJF can't do that with Dustin Rhodes. MJF can't do that with Daniel Garcia, but he can do it with Adam Page. And you're starting to see some of that. You're starting to see some of that here. You're starting to see some of that come to fruition. Sean says Starbucks is still overpriced. Yeah, man, it is. I love taking the dog there, though. That's the thing. Like, you could get this lots of places. We are trying to get Starbucks as the official sponsor, of Brass Ring Media and One True Sport. So, come on, Starbucks. Let's dance. At the same time, though, yes, it's pricey, but it's the activity in the morning. I put value in the activity. Ashley says here, Sean, don't come in here with that negativity about Starbies. It's my weakness. Yeah, mine too. Oh my God, mine too. And now I'm going to call it Starbies. And there we go. It's now forever Starbies. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Ashley. All right. So MJF and Adam Page, that's on, a collision course. And I think that's a good pay-per-view match. I think it's a good Revolution match. I think that they've spent enough time, growing the feud and growing the new characters, and that's that. So I really think that's one reason why the show has been helped out the last couple weeks. The other thing that I want to get into here is we now know the main event of AEW Revolution, and I want thumbs up, thumbs down in the live chat here. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Are you in or are you out on Jon Moxley versus Cope for the AEW World Championship at Revolution? Because the match is official. Now, how they got there this week, whew, boy, that tiptoed the line. That tiptoed the line for me. Here's why. Okay. The character of Jon Moxley, all right, the character of Jon Moxley has said numerous times, and he cut that great promo a couple of weeks ago with Renee Paquette saying, like, hey, I'm the world champion. I'm the king. This title belt, it's just a prop. Why do you need to see it every week? Right? It's a prop. Why do you need to see it every week? Everybody knows I'm the champion, so that's that. Almost like he didn't care about he cared about being the champion and being the king and being the best and all of that, but the prop didn't mean anything to him, right? That's how I read that promo. That's why he can keep the prop in a briefcase that nobody sees. So fast forward to this week. What I didn't like about this angle is that it ended up being the prop that Jon Moxley said was essentially meaningless to him that pushed him over the edge to accept the match with Copeland. It was like, I don't care about the prop. I'm the best. Everybody knows it. I don't need the belt for everybody to know and understand that I'm the best. And then it's like, whoa, don't hurt my belt. Don't hurt my belt. Now, so I didn't like the mixing of that. I didn't like the way that mixed together. What I did like, though, is that Moxley, showed some ass, right? Like, finally, like, you need to have, there has to be an element of hypocrisy to what you see in Jon Moxley. You got it, like, the heat in Moxley, because he's such a cool character, because he's just generally likable. But if he is going to be a heel in AEW, if he's going to be a heel character in AEW, there has to be a very easy hypocrisy to follow with him. You have to hear him say one thing and then do another thing. That's where the heat is. And everybody has to talk about it too. You have to have the announcers talk about it. You have to have Copeland talk about it. You have to have other babyfaces talk about it. You have to tell that story broadly for this to work. They don't do a good job of that right now. But they did put the pieces together for it. So the story's not over yet. So maybe we'll hear Tony Schiavone talk about this. So I do like that, because this was an example of that. This was an example of Moxley being like, look, I don't need the title belt. I don't need the title belt. But when it came down to it, he didn't want that title belt destroyed or the briefcase destroyed. So that's some of the hypocrisy that I'm talking about. They need more of it, much more of it, for this to work. Now, I agree with Ashley in the chat here. Ashley says, I'm just happy we finally have a bigger name fighting Mox and the Death Riders. 100%. That's the best part of this whole feud to me. And we're going to get to a couple of Sean's comments here in a minute, which I also agree with. But the bottom line here for me is that it's not Orange Cassidy, right? It's not just some kind of like mid-card babyface that Moxley is going to dust. Like, Copeland is like a legit name. And I don't think that Cope has made the most of his like opportunity here as a top guy, but he is a top guy in terms of like just his notoriety, in terms of the freshness he brings to a match with Moxley. We haven't seen them wrestle one-on-one before. It'll be a first-time ever match. And again, it's not like the level of Orange Cassidy. Like, Copeland, for better or worse, I think people view him as a top-tier guy in the company. I don't think people view Orange Cassidy that way. They certainly don't view, when it was the Dark Order and that group of ragtag babyfaces trying to take out the Death Riders. There's not that. So for that reason, I mean, I like this just because it gives Moxley a very credible challenger. And that is important to like kind of, because you want to start defining this title reign for him. If he's going to lose the title to whoever it is, Darby or Paige or whoever, someone else, Swerve, like you want it to be something. It's kind of like, there was a time where the Roman Reigns world title run was slow. It was dull. The actual run, not the bloodline stuff, but like the actual title run. And the reason was because there was kind of this inevitability, right? Of Roman's the champion, Roman's going to win. And once you're kind of in the doldrums of that, it can get a little like yawn-inducing. But when you come out of that, though, you have a champion that's elevated. And to me, that's what you want to do with Mox here. And in order to do that, you have to have opponents like Copeland, that he beats. Sean says here, fair point, Zach. Ha! I made one. I get one. I get one a show. One a show. That's it. Just one. Let's go to up some more comments here. Sean says, thumbs down, big time. Copeland just isn't it for me right now. But it's fine. I'm not mad, but he's not winning. Yeah, no, right. He's not winning. He's definitely not winning. And that's why it's hard, because I don't think anybody thinks that Cope is going to win. But alas, you want to try to make people believe that he could, and I don't know that they can do that. I don't know that they can do that. Joshua, who's in our chat, says, thumbs mostly down for the match, blah for the challenger, and I don't want them to drag out the Cope-Mox feud for another month. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, Joshua. I do. I'm higher on it for the reasons that I've said. I think this is a 1 month feud, though. I think you'll be happy to know that, you'll be happy to know that I think this is a one and done. It's a one and done. I think they're going to do this match at Revolution. Moxley's going to beat Copeland, and then they're going to go on, and they're going to go their separate ways. I mean, it seems like that's what's on the horizon. Now, with Copeland, man, he's an interesting guy in AEW right now, because once you do this match with Moxley, to me, there's just one more thing left to do, or two more things left to do, maybe. You can do a feud with MJF. Okay, that's one option. And then you can do the reunion of Edge and Christian, too. I would be doing that. If I was Tony Khan, I would be angling towards that. Now, it's you can't do it for another 6-7 months at the earliest. Just because Christian is so planted as a heel right now in the patriarchy. But I mean, you got to get to FTR against Edge and Christian, right? You got to do that. If you have that opportunity, you got to do Young Bucks against Edge and Christian. You have to do that. You got to do those two matches, if you ask me. So, but after that, I don't know. I think that, he may be putting a bow on this thing, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Tracy's in our super chats. Thank you, Tracy. Tracy says, Jay White looks better than Copeland in this duo. Oh, 100%. Jay White continues to be one of the most misused guys in wrestling, period. In all of wrestling. Like when you look up and down the cards the rosters of all the main companies, whether it's New Japan or TNA or WWE, AEW, even if you want to take it a step further, with NXT, nobody to me, in my mind, is more misused than him. Just think about the buzz that he had when he came into the company. Like, man, it was good. It was huge. He's coming out, big free agent signing. They got him, and WWE didn't. It's a miss. It's a miss. And I don't know what happened. Like, I don't know if it is because it could be a couple things. It could be a lot of things. Is it Tony Khan just soured on him? Is Jay White not? Is Jay White not like doing enough backstage? Right? Is he not putting himself in positions to pitch ideas or to be heard or to be seen? Like, that's part of this too. Like, is he putting his best foot forward? Andrew H says here in the live chat, our gold member says, look, promo, wrestling, so good. Yeah. He's got the whole package. Especially especially Jay White, right? Because he can work matches. He can work good matches. He can talk. He's got a good look, and he can work good matches. Like, that's the AEW prototype guy. That's it. That's who it is. It's weird. it's weird how that hasn't worked out and they haven't been able to make good dough off him. All right, let's last thing that I want to get into. Well, we'll get into this as part of it's part of our Grand Slam preview here. So we've got AEW Grand Slam Australia coming up tomorrow. I don't know what the heck time this thing is airing at. It's gonna run on on TNT after or TNT or Max, excuse me, Max, after the All-Star Game events in the NBA. So whenever that is, that's when it's going to be. It's going to be late. I'm probably looking at a Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon watch on this thing. Mainly because I just don't know when it's going to air. So I'm just going to wake up on Sunday and watch it. This, to me, this card overall is kind of like exactly what it should be. I said this with Wade on the Wade Keller Pro Wrestling podcast this week on Tuesday. Super pumped to be a part of that show. If you missed it or you haven't seen that show yet, go check it out. Wade and I talked for over 90 minutes on this thing, and it was fun, really fun to talk to Wade. I always love going back there and doing that. But it's like a solid show. Like I would relate this show to like a Saturday Night's Main Event. That I think is what they're looking to get out of this. Yeah, they didn't sell out a stadium. I don't think that's such a big deal. I don't think it says anything. It says you shot your shot and you missed. You didn't get it. Okay, no big deal. You're still going to do a big show. You're still going to go into a new market. You still sold a lot of tickets. Tony Khan said this week it's going to be one of the highest gates in company history. So, it is what it is. I'm glad that they're not giving away too much on this show. Like the thing that I like about this show is that it's not so much that's of what's on it. It's what's not on it. And what's not on it is important. You're not doing Mox and Copeland on this show. You're not doing Paige and MJF on this show. Like you're saving that, and that's good. That's recognizing what your shows are and what they're not, and I think that's good as a booker. So I think that's a smart move. Let me see here. Andrew H is in the live chat saying, I think the main event is the weakest show on the card. Weakest match on the card. Let me rephrase, Andrew says. Mox and Claudio versus Copeland and Switchblade. I'm assuming that's the main event, though it should be the women. Yeah, I wouldn't be so sure about that, Andrew. I think it's going to be the women. And we'll start there because I think it's going to be the women. And as the week has gone on, I've changed my pick here. Mariah May versus Toni Storm for the AEW Women's World Championship. That's your main event. It's Toni Storm. It's in Australia. Like that has to be your main event. That's going to be the hottest match that you do. So you want to put that on in the biggest spot, especially if you have Toni Storm win, which is what I think is going to happen. I changed my tune on this as the week has gone on, as we saw Dynamite. The best way forward to keep this feud going is if Storm beats Mariah, because then you can see like the heel have a breakdown after the fact. You can see Mariah just become darker, more twisted, more violent, right? And you can see maybe her goad Toni Storm into a trilogy match, maybe as early as Revolution. I don't think that would be a bad spot for that third match, especially if it has some kind of gimmick, like a cage match, or I don't know, like something like, I think they could, like, I don't know. Again, I'm not an advocate for like blood and gore and blood and guts matches, but if they do some kind of like, chain match or like dog collar match, like I think this feud is getting to the point where it's going to need some kind of really big blow off match. And I I think something unique like that, which I don't know that we've ever seen a women's dog collar match before, but not in AEW, but maybe not ever. I don't know. I'd have to look at the history of that. But, that I think something like that is needed to like a huge Joshua says big giant bra and panties match. Negative. We don't want to see that. Oh God. So I'm glad, or at least from my reaction is just, to laugh that off, right, Joshua? I mean, remember when that used to be a thing that they did for real in pro wrestling? And now you've got this like tremendous program going on, and I'm glad that they don't go there. Joshua. So that's what I think they do here. Sean says here, I'm curious how Mariah does when she gets away from Tony. She can get more twisted, but she has to have another dance partner. She sure does. And the history is not on her side with this in terms of like losing the women's championship. I mean, look at all the women's champions in history. The only one who hasn't like fallen off the map is Toni Storm. Since losing the title, she is the only one. Everybody else has like kind of fallen away and fallen off the wayside and fallen out of favor. And you don't want that to happen with Mariah May, because Mariah May I would say that she's like a top 5, a top 5 talent. Not necessarily right now, but she's top 5 when you take into account what she's bringing to the table and the potential that she has. That's huge. If she hit the open market, I think WWE would snatch her up in a minute. I think they would just be like, come on board. Like, so you got to keep her happy. You got to keep her with something to do. You've got to make sure she has something, and she's got to deliver, and she absolutely has to deliver. I'm looking forward to this match. I think this is going to be the match of the night. Got a lot of people in here saying Tony's winning. I think you're right. I think she is. So should be a good match. We also have Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay against the Don Callis family, Kyle Fletcher and Konosuke Takeshita. This is going to be one hell of an in-ring performance. I mean, like, goodness gracious, like this one. Like, you can't look away for 1 second in this, because it's going to be so fast-paced and so wild and so crazy. Like, it's going to be nuts. It's going to be absolutely nuts. Look, babyfaces have to go over here. And the reason is because I think you want to set up singles matches. Now, I don't love these singles matches. I don't love, Will Ospreay against Takeshita or Will Ospreay against Fletcher. I kind of like Omega against Fletcher. I think that makes some sense. But everything else we've kind of seen before. So I think, but they don't have anything else for Revolution though. Like Omega and Will Ospreay are mixed up in the Don Callis family right now. So where do they, if Fletcher and Takeshita beat them, where do you go? You've got to give that thing some juice from the perspective of just booking. That's the next step. That's how you get to those singles matches. So I think Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay win. I think the Don Callis family's on their heels. I think Omega and Ospreay use this as an opportunity to get some singles matches. Sean says here, the Omega Ospreay story was told way too fast. Yeah. Oh my God. I mean, insanely fast. like it took 30 seconds for them to like look like they wanted to kill each other in the ring to also now being friends and fighting off the Don Callis family. Like, yeah, that's like Game of Thrones last season type of pace in terms of storytelling. So yes, I do agree with that, but they're here now, they're here. They got there. Honestly, like they took too long, or they took too quick to get there, but I think that like ultimately it's good to make the story about them against the Don Callis family and not like can these baby faces get along? So I'm kind of like, so yes, it went fast, but I'm kind of like, okay, they just got there. They just went there. That's good. That's good. That just get there and be done. And I think that that's okay in this instance. Sean says your kids are having fun in the other room. Yeah, they are. I don't. Yeah. It's like when you hear them, it's like, okay, that's good. Everything's okay. It's when you don't hear them, then something is going on that maybe I don't want to. Luckily, mom is out there, so she's got everything under control. But yeah, they're having a blast. They're off today, so that's why another reason why the show's being recorded early. Valentine's Day, long weekend. We just wanted to get this thing in the can and hang out here before it gets too crazy. Before it gets too crazy out there. Okay, let's keep it going here. A little bit rapid fire. Okada against Buddy Matthews. Going to be a great match. We know how this goes. Okada wins. He says bitch a couple times, and that's that. Game over. I think the match is going to be really good. The match is going to be really good, actually. But yeah. They're not winning. Buddy Matthews isn't winning. Sorry. The hometown kid is not going to get the title. Let's see. Sean says here, Okada wins and move on, even though he feels meaningless right now. Yeah. I mean, he's a guy that you could heat up. He's a guy that you could really heat up and get to a spot where a title match with with Moxley feels big, like that'd be big on AEW TV if you just treat Okada as a babyface and you just, and you just go with it. What's wrong with that? I think that works. They're not there yet, but they could get there. All right. Then we got Mercedes Moné against Harley Cameron for the AEW TBS Championship. This is what I was going to say earlier about Dynamite. Harley Cameron, she must listen to this show because last week on the show, I said, and I challenged her, hey, what kind of wrestler do you want to be? Do you want to be like a gimmicky kind of wrestler that can, can do a lot of things and be funny and be a ventriloquist and play the guitar? Like, that's one option. And I think if she goes down that path, she can burn really, really hot for a really, really long time, really, really hot for a really, really short time, a la The Acclaimed, right? You get really hot, sell some merch, and that's it. Or you can take a step back. You can find your personality. You can find, your character and go with that and ride that and have that be the central focus of you as an act and not the other stuff. Like have the other stuff supplement that rather than the other way around. I think she took a step and went that way on Dynamite. She cut a heck of a promo. She did the rap. And then she cut it off and was like, wait, hold on. I got to get serious here. And then she was sitting on the stairs and she just looked straight into the camera and talked to you. She didn't yell. She just was like a straight up, this is why I'm going to win. This is why I need to win. I've gotten better. I'm ready for this moment. Like it was just, it was great. That right there, what we saw right there is a wrestler that can be, at the top of the card. You can't do it if you're just a guitar playing ventriloquist. Those acts aren't main event. That stare promo, that is a main event talent. That's a main event performer. That was great to see out of her. Kick Ash says, Ashley says here, loved her promo on Dynamite. The transition she did was so well done. I totally agree. Sean says Harley is very talented in certain ways, but she does not need to win that title. She's won one match. I just can't get past that. I'm glad she's getting time, and I'm not against her, and her promo, I agree, was very good. Joshua says, the song puppet stuff is better than it has any right to be, but the stop and talk at the end made it top notch. Exactly. Like, that's the hook. That's what people care about. People will laugh and they'll chuckle and they'll, ha 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 about the other stuff. But the promo at the end is what makes people care. And that's the hook. That's what makes the top star. Andrew H says, Harley is fantastic. I want her to beat Mercedes so bad. Give her all the titles. All of them. This is a tough one for me. Because on one hand, I'm with Sean. She's won one match. But it's fighting. And weird things happen sometimes in fights. And you need to take the TBS title off of Mercedes Moné at some point. The best way to do that for me, in my opinion, whilst protecting her, is some kind of like fluky win like this, right? An undercard talent, somebody that you wouldn't expect to beat her that does. That to me is like not a bad way to go here, because then Mercedes can be like, it was a total fluke. It was a total fluke, but you know what? I'm moving up to the world title, right? And then you're then kind of game over. So I'm torn on this one. I'll make my pick on who I think is going to win. I think Mercedes Moné is going to win this. I don't think they're ready to pull the trigger on Harley Cameron, and really, I don't think they're ready to pull the trigger on Mercedes losing at this point in time. But this is one of those things where if they do this title change and they do it right, it could help get Harley to the next level. So I would not be surprised to see it, but I will take Mercedes Moné. Finally, Jay White and Cope versus the Death Riders, Jon Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli. I think they use this to look. Jon Moxley's winning at Revolution, so I think here you use this match to get the babyfaces a win, to get people behind them. It's a Brisbane brawl, so it's going to be kind of a garbage style match. I think you're going to see a lot of blood. I think you're going to see a lot of weapons. And so, and also Cope can beat Claudio, right? Like, no one's going to be pinning Jon Moxley. You're not. So it's either, it's going to go one of two ways. It's either going to be Cope pinning Claudio, which is my pick, or it's going to be Moxley pinning Jay White, which is, I don't know that you want to see that either, because you may want to go down a Jay White versus Moxley mode, at some point. And you don't want to have that thing already in the can that hey, he already pinned him. That would not be fun. So I think I don't think we'll see that. So you're going to see the babyfaces win this one. Cope and White take it. All right. Before we get out of here, there is breaking news. We had somebody just report in the live chat. Who was it? I want to give proper credit to Matthew. Matthew Rodriguez jumped in here and just tipped us off. Hey, there's some breaking news. We have another inductee to the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2025, and it is Michelle McCool. No surprise there, right? Michelle's been around. She's been a former champion. She's married to The Undertaker. She's around, whenever they do kind of big shows, they kind of show her in. She returns. She's been a Royal Rumble entrant at different points in time. So this is not a surprising turn of events. I don't know. When I think of Michelle McCool, obviously she would wrestle in a different era of women's wrestling in WWE, like that Divas era to the max. Like she, was in the smack dab in the middle of it. So you have to look at her career from that perspective. And from that perspective, she was carried some segments. You know, she held the titles for a lot of that time period. And you know, I think for the Hall of Fame, like as you know, as much of a ridiculous Hall of Fame as it is, like you do want people in it that I think define your eras, right? You want your top people from all your eras to be in it. And I think when you look at her era, she was up there. So I think this one makes sense. Like, you know, for what the WWE Hall of Fame is, and I say that, like, would she be making like an actual Hall of Fame of WWE wrestlers put on by like me and others and fans? No, I don't think so. But for what the WWE Hall of Fame is, yeah, this absolutely makes sense, and no surprise. All right, guys, what a fun show! Oh my gosh, I'm so glad I started my day this way. This makes me happy. It makes me so happy to talk to you all. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I'm gonna go run and I'm gonna record the member only show. We're gonna talk NXT on that show. So we're gonna talk Ricky Starks. We're gonna talk about Vengeance Day. We're gonna get to all that. And have a blast doing it. So I hope you head over to Patreon and check us out. Check out our member options. Patreon.com/BrassRingMedia. $4 a month gets you everything. Gets you everything that you could want. You get a member only show once a week. You get all of our pay-per-view and PLE review shows, including Vengeance Day this weekend. You get full access to our Discord community where all our members hang out, and so much more odds and ends stuff. I got a podcast going for Stunning, the wrestling artistry of Steve Austin, the book I wrote, which you can get on Amazon. And I hope you check that out. But we have also sorts of odds and ends stuff that pop up for members. So patreon.com/BrassRingMedia. Give it a go. I hope you try it out. And if you don't do that, subscribe to our free content. Subscribe here on YouTube. Subscribe to where you get your podcasts. You can catch the Brass Ring Media podcast right there, right to your mobile device. And then, of course, we have our Substack newsletter, which is totally free. And you can check that out on Substack. Cool? All right, have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Enjoy Vengeance Day. Enjoy Grand Slam. We'll talk to y'all soon. I'm Zach. For Tyler, who's not here, he's still gallivanting around in Aruba. He'll be back next week. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Talk to you soon. See ya.